On this episode of EdTech, we're talking about projectors versus displays, how you hide your technology, and security versus innovation. All that and more. Next on EdTech.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
EdTech is brought to you by our fine group of underwriters, companies like Utelligy. This is EdTech, episode 40, recorded Thursday, January 28th, 2016, under the table. This is EdTech, the monthly look at the education higher ed space for the AV industry. My name is Tom Albright. I am your host. With us, as always, Mr. Bill O'Donnell. How
Hello.
are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing?
I have nothing other than the fact that you're Bill O'Donnell. So
That's enough.
you have a if you're watching the video, he has a Aquaman behind his head. So
And a Joker.
Also with us is Ernie Bailey from UAMS. How are you, brother?
I'm doing just fine.
Good deal. Ernie has two chairs, so I'm not going to go over everybody because now I'm going to talk about Greg Brown, who has entirely too many things behind him. How are you, sir?
I was going to say hello, Tim, hello world, and I'll let you know.
Spider Plant.
I'll let you know what I don't have behind me.
I was going to
here.
say, yeah.
I'll have to take inventory.
He has Jimmy Hoffa. Last but not least, Mike Tomei from Tomei AV. How are you, sir?
Good, Tim. Doing well.
Doing well. All righty. So here's a couple things we've got. We're going to talk a little bit about hiding technology and this, that, and the other. But I want to start off with a debate, as it is. Corporate Tech Decisions did a story, how to choose between a projector and a display. Now, off the air, we were talking, a couple of the guys have put in laser projectors, which I'm cautiously optimistic on. I should say that, as a former tech manager, it's intriguing at least. But you get into situations where you've got, whether it's 110 inches or what have you, where either you do need a projector legitimately, or sometimes a flat screen would suffice. Mike, I want to start with you on this because you're the consultant of our fine group here. In talking with folks, how do you make that determination?
I guess as a general rule of thumb, anything over 80 inches, I recommend projectors because I feel like flat panels over 80 inches start to get really expensive really fast. It all depends on the room and where you want to install it. There are situations where you just can't put a projector in a room, and you really have to look to a large flat panel. But in general, anything over 80 inches, and I'm looking at projection. I'm not a fan of video walls. I just sit there and stare at the little bezel intersections the whole time, and
even the ones with like 1 millimeter bezels.
Still, I'm just staring
right
at them. I cannot look away from them. I love large projection instead of video walls when it can be done. There are situations where you just need a video wall, but yeah, I just can't. I am not a big fan of them. And I feel like also in classrooms, you can. It's easy and cheaper to have a blackboard or a whiteboard behind a projection screen. If you put a flat panel in the front of the room, you're taking away board space from instructors, and instructors want their board space. Blackboard or whiteboard, doesn't matter. They need board space, and once you start taking it away from them, it's not a good scene. So I feel like two big complaints in the past with projectors have been that you have failed lamps, so the thing will die on you, and then you have noise in the room from the fan. And you were mentioning laser projectors, which solve both of those problems there. They're much quieter because they don't need as much cooling, and then you're not going to have lamps dying like you do with conventional projectors.
Okay.
So I'm a fan of projection.
Fan of projection. All right, Mr. Ernie, we'll start with you from this end. Projector or display?
Well, I think it's a situational call. I definitely agree with Mike in that, 80 inches and above, it's usually better look at a projector. We do have some 90s around, and yes, they are expensive, but in the places we put them, it's more practical than putting up an additional projector screen. What we've done in some of our rooms, Tim, you've seen a couple of them, and we've been doing this in other places as well now, is for video conferencing rooms, we use the full screen for the main presentation, and then we put the far side video, what would usually be the picture-in-a-picture, on a 90-inch screen. Even in a large auditorium, I can get by with that. Maybe one, I try to put one on each side. And no, it's not the ideal size, but it gives you a quick glance at the far side audience. You don't feel like you're alone. And then when the video switches to them, it's just kind of a move from the corner, almost like a picture-to-picture shift. And I do agree with Mike also on the instructors like their board space. Yeah. What I'm doing in a new room, it's going to be a multi-purpose room, partially an active learning room. We're putting in one interactive panel, a 70-inch interactive flat panel that they can write on, and then we'll display that back. The plan is to have 70-inch displays all the way around the room for students, so no matter how the tables are oriented, they'll be able to see. But I like the contrast ratio. That's a bigger argument for me than the noise on a projector. Is you just don't have the contrast ratio. When we're trying to show medical images, that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
But I think 80 is a good number. I might even go down as far as 70 and above. We go with the projector in most rooms if we can make it work. But once again, you do have to look at ceiling height, power availability. If you're having to add a screen and a projector, the cost issue kind of goes away for most of it. If you're replacing a projector, then you get into the argument of price versus size versus quality versus what are they going to be using it for. So.
All right, Mr. Brown, from your design expertise, where do you fall on this one?
I'm trying to think of something intelligent to say that those guys didn't already say. They touched on most of all the good points. I think, price comes down a lot to it, which is probably about 80 to 90 inches at this point. I've done one 90-inch and quite a few 70s and 80s. The thing that does get mentioned a lot is the noise and the lamp life of projectors, although I think that's becoming less and less of an issue these days. When you look at the new projectors, the new little Panasonics we're putting have a 6,000 hour lamp in them. So what are you going to do? Replace that once over the life of the projector? I think that's becoming a lot less of an issue than it used to be. Certainly it's shorter in the big projectors. But there we wouldn't be talking about monitors. The other advantage I found with the monitors is that we still have a lot of rooms, particularly if we're doing a space for a little campus department that doesn't have a lot of money. A lot of times they have an old room that has one of these crazy 50s or 60s vintage ceilings with the 1x1 glued on tiles or the weird 1x4 tiles. Last thing I really want to do is start, climbing up in the ceiling and figuring out how to do a projector mount into that sort of thing. And if you've got a ceiling, or if you've got a nice clear wall, boom, generally you've got studs somewhere there in the wall that you can anchor a mount to. When you're not getting cheap crap hardware like I ended up, this is with last Friday, this is before and after. Little expandable bolt here that
is that a mount for a projector?
This is for a flat panel.
Whoa!
Came with a bunch of these. This is to attach it into a metal stud, and the one on your right or your left there is is
it's all squished.
is before, and the
Oh.
one on the other one, rather than expand out, it's these little things that goes like that in the behind the wall.
Yeah.
Rather than expand out, it just twisted, and that wasn't so annoying as the hour and a half it took me to pull the darn thing out of the wall.
Oh, good night.
Right.
Because of course I had the other ones already set.
Yes, of course. Because they worked fine.
So, yes, 3 or 4 worked fine, and the 4th was the failure.
Nice.
So.
Did you at least have extras, in case you had?
Yes, they were nice enough to give me 6 cheap ass fasteners in the packet.
Is that the official name of them? Cheap ass.
What manufacturer was this?
I'm not going to throw them under the bus.
All right.
They know who they are. I've already talked to somebody there.
Good.
I told them what I think of their hardware package.
There's 2 show names right there: cheap ass and hardware package. All right, Bill. What projector or flat panel?
In our case, it actually does kind of like price is an issue, but for us, it also comes into more engineering. So we were actually having a debate the other day with our architects and engineers about this, because in one of our new buildings, we're renovating a building, and in some of the rooms they want to put 90-inch displays in. And for the sake of our sanity, we're putting in a swing arm mount and everything. And we asked the architects, hey, did you guys make sure you reinforce the wall and everything? Because Chief and Peerless and a couple other ones all say, hey, you need to have steel plate reinforcement. And it went back and forth, and I brought up the magic words of structural engineer. And they're looking more at projector screens now, because they realized they'd have to make a wall that could hold about 1,300 pounds. And they're going, well, that's just not really cost effective. I was like, thank you. So we're probably going down the path of 80-inch and below is a display, 80-inch and above we go with projection. The only mitigating factor might be the other thing too is that when it comes to, I don't know how much you guys have had with having HVAC, having to do renovations or put in new mechanical, but above ceiling space now is really starting to become a luxury. Mostly in the fact that these days we use like the tile bridges and everything, and that'll get us
in new construction or renovation. Sorry.
A little bit of both. I have my own personal nightmare in the fact that our building that we're renovating now had low ceilings to begin with, and the only way they could get mechanical in was to remove the ceiling grid entirely. So we have double T ceilings, and trying to run anything through there is a nightmare. So it's a pole mount that we're gonna have to put on two separate sets of unistrut to adjust the forward and back, and that's about it. Because otherwise, normally let's put it this way: any architect would cringe if you saw what we normally did, and that was we would take the chief tile bridge, and we actually have our carpenters go and erect like it looks like an erector set straight down from the ceiling, but it has everything. It has everything we need. It has a place to put the power outlet. It has a place to put the HD base T receiver, and it has a sliding pipe mount. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's not pretty, but it works.
But it's probably a lot more secure than some folks. So.
Than a regular pipe mount, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Moving on to our friends over at Commercial Integrator. Look at the video content, not the streaming device. This is about hiding technology, not necessarily which streaming device you're doing. The product specifically they're talking about is a Middle Atlantic product. Their UTB series Universal Tech Box. However, I wanted to get beyond that, and Greg, I want to start with you because actually you are the first person I ever met who used stuff like this, where you actively looked to find ways to hide the technology. Another friend of ours, Chris Netto, who's a design engineer and a consultant out east, he's constantly having to hide the technology. So, from your standpoint, Greg, what is the best way to do that?
you've got to get creative. And I like this box. I haven't seen it in person. I like I like what I see online, and it's 1 or 2 space and regular width and hat foot, which I thought was sort of a novel direction to go. But I like that they're looking at the devices out there and figuring out things that they can do with them. I think Middle Atlantic's one of the more creative companies in our little world. And I don't think some of these companies spend enough time looking at how their products can be used with other things that are out there. I'll mention the FSR box I've used now, the what is it, TS400, the top shelf. Yeah. It's a big box that it's a four space box that mounts up where the ceiling meets the wall, and I actually managed to put a DMPS 300 in it, the big
Are you kidding me?
Yes. Now you can do that. Now I'm not faulting FSR. It's a neat box, and I recommend
you using right angle HDMI plugs.
You either have to use right angles, or you have to use, like what we ended up using were some shorty dongles with
tails on them.
With ribbon cable or something, right?
Yeah, this was I'm sure I railed about this at one point in a past show. The original integrator came in and started pulling the ultra heavy duty Extron cables with, the boots that are 4 inches long, and it's like, guys, have you looked at what that looks like inside the box? And it just plain wouldn't work, and they weren't going to change them out on us, so we eventually ended up tossing them off the project. But it's a novel thing, and you can come up with some interesting combinations to put gear in odd places if you do your homework and be aware with what's out there. I like the Middle Atlantic box. What the FSR let us do by putting the DMPS is that basically we took a room which was you used the little Extron tilt out, mm-hmm. which has 4 rack spaces. We turned that into a room with a DMPS 300 and a couple cameras and full video conferencing and an interactive Epson and you name it. It's everything, and it still has the same tilt out over on the wall.
See, and that fact that box allowed you to do that is really cool. So,
yeah, you have to get creative. You can put this stuff all over the place. I've also seen, I know a couple people where they took some, it's something out of the IT world. Imagine a 2 or 3 or 4 rack unit, and what that world has is they have some things where they take that space and it's actually attached to the wall vertically, such that you can hang a couple of pieces vertically. And I've seen a couple of schools where they'll put a couple things like that, and they'll put an amp in a closet or a basic switcher or something like that, and get stuff out of the way, or even off behind a instructor's console or something like that, and shoehorn in a couple of things that really lets you leverage what you've already got in the room in a lot of cases.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mr. O'Donnell, from you spent a couple of 2 or 3 years here trying to do things in the classroom experience. How do you hide things?
Well, once again, I do have to give Middle Atlantic credit for their tech box and everything. I'm not gonna say that it's a totally new product, because to a certain degree, Extron has made under the shelf mounts for a while.
Under the desk mounts, yeah.
But it's nice in the fact that in Middle Atlantic's case, it's adjustable, and I think if there's a clamping option, it's really going to do well. So as far as hiding things, I'm not going to lie. I've been with Chris in the trenches trying to find ways to hide things, and if anything, I'm actually really happy that FSR picked up on something. Mike has the Top Shelf series. I like the fact that they actually picked up the Connect Track series, if you haven't seen these, it's got one raceway for your power, and then another raceway to send all your AV cabling. and it's also it's wheelchair run over accessible and everything. And really, with us, it's just a matter of trying to get our carpenters or carpeting folks and everything to recut the carpet a little bit. And it also has a a little angled box to shoot back up into the wall. So, because in a lot of cases we still have classrooms where we can't put a floor core in because the room's slab on grade.
Yeah.
So
real quickly, Bill, just for clarification and for folks who don't know exactly why would you want to separate your power from your AV cables?
You want me to go down like the National Electric Code version, or just
give me
because
the
it's not a good
version.
idea?
It's not a good idea.
You don't want to put high power and low voltage together. Like, bad things happen.
It gave me an enlightening experience.
And it could
where's the rim shot button?
I don't have a joke for the waves that it could create too. So
Oof.
at least it used to. All right, Mr. Ernie, how do you guys hide things, or do you even do it?
I don't know that I'll make an attempt to hide things. We do need to make the furniture usable.
Okay.
I like this product. If I needed to put something like that in, I'd probably look at that. I've always been happy with Middle Atlantic's products and their flexibility and their willingness to work with any device you want to put in and come up with custom mounts for you. But we would probably try to find a way to put that. Most of our rooms have a rack in the corner, and our racks are done very neat. I don't have a problem having them in the classroom. We lock the back door and we put side panels on it, but there's a lot of planning that goes into the rack layout and into the wiring of the rack, so we keep everything neat. So if I could relocate that to the rack and just run whatever I needed back to the desk, any type of user interface for any device, that would be my choice.
Yeah.
Tim, if I
sorry.
Okay. So one of the other things, once again, we had a new building open up this just a few weeks ago, and one of the things I noticed is that a lot of students really enjoy the we have group study rooms, or they're essentially academic huddle spaces.
Okay.
And I have to give it to Middle Atlantic in that the UTB box is a nice thing. The nicer thing is they're really trying to make a big push with their hub table, and I've kind of kicked the tires. There's some little finessing it's got to go through, but I like where Middle Atlantic is going with it, because they're using their tech ped, which is great for AV guys like us, because it's here I can hide a HD base T transmitter, I can hide a processor, I can hide a PC in there, and they've built the raceway. They have a J-channel raceway built underneath the table, and it doesn't have to be standalone. You can actually have it to where the table can go up against a wall, and you can put up a wall mount and have it stationary, or you can have it kind of like a self-contained system. And I like that Middle Atlantic is getting into the furniture biz. I'll just say that.
That one or two rack space, I think, gives you a lot of flexibility, whereas a lot of the other things out there are purpose-built mounts to put a device on the underside of a table. With a rack plate, you can put a plate in front of something, or you could mount something into a rack plate like that. It gives you a bit of flexibility.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Tomei, I'm going to have you take a little bit different stance on this. Give me the pros and cons of hiding equipment.
Be the devil's advocate.
Be the devil's advocate. Tell me why it's a bad idea.
Okay, so the pros are, everybody discussed all of that. You want to, hide the equipment and limit user accessibility to it. So use security covers, or hidden in racks, locked racks, things like that. So you don't have nosy Nellies in there pressing every button they can when something doesn't work. So that's obviously a huge plus with it. The cons for it, so when I used to do a lot of repair or install work or maintenance work myself, you have hidden equipment and you weren't the one that installed it, and the original installer didn't document it very well. a lot of times you're searching the room for where things are installed. Somebody stashed something up in a ceiling or in a closet somewhere or behind a display, and you have to go repair it, and now you need to, you don't have a well-documented system. So to make up for that, document everything that you install and have great as-built drawings with equipment locations so that somebody can step in there and find everything really easily. And also another thing to watch out for is when mounting items underneath tables is ADA standards for knee clearance. And not just ADA standards for knee clearance. You just don't want anyone tucking their chair in and encountering a piece of equipment that's mounted underneath there and racking their knee into it. So the ADA standards have really clear knee and toe clearance specifications. That's standards that have to be adhered to. And a cheap plug, I wrote an article for Campus Technology Magazine about ADA standards in AV design. It was back in November, I believe, and it's on the website. And I talked about knee clearance in there because that's pretty important. We all like to hide things underneath tables, but then you start encroaching on those standards. So.
Well, yeah, and you're right. It's not just the standard. It's the fact that you don't want to hit your knee on something. So.
Yeah.
All right. So from standards there to security. This is from Campus Technology. Oh, my gosh. Have we talked about security? Yeah. CampusTechnology.com. Security versus innovation. Carnegie Mellon's exploration of new Internet of Things technology pairs innovation with security research. Bill, I'm going to let you kick off this. And here's the overarching question to all four of you. And
can I call myself Batman?
You can call yourself Batman. Greg will be Black Widow.
If anybody, I'm the Joker.
Well, that's true.
The Riddler.
But here's the thing, and this one specifically talks about the Internet of Things. We're kind of referencing in our jest the AMX backdoor story that has been running for about a week now. How do we push the envelope, right, while still staying secure?
Alrighty. Well, there's, as I say, I will say this. Just kind of going back to it, a little preface. I was a DoD employee for many a year, and before I left, everyone actually, a lot of folks actually did have to get security training. Like, you actually had to go and get like CompTIA Security Plus training. And if you didn't, you were, you weren't going to be fired. Relieved of your duties? Certainly, what's that?
Relieved of your duties?
You would definitely be put on something that was not computer related. I'll say that much. But in terms of, so for me, it's already like, well, I'm aware of security. If anything, we do try to, as I say, I'd say most folks probably keep things pretty well segmented. I mean, Greg, just out of curiosity, for you guys in your campus, I'm sure do you guys have a separate VLAN for the for the control systems, or no?
Oh yeah, we have our own VLAN in every one of our buildings that has classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So things are already kind of segmented to begin with, and not to, as I say, not to beat up on AMX or anything like that. I will say this.
Oh, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, but in this case, like, folks were blowing this up and going, "Oh my gosh!" I wanted to point out to everyone, I'm like, guys, those networks that they could try to quote unquote try to find, were behind lots and lots of fiber, that were behind lots and lots of encryption, that was behind lots and lots of people with guns. So I'm like, there's no way that stuff went out to the internet. That was just, I don't know. It's Tim, as I say, Tim, you wrote up a good article about it, and believe me, like, there's no way that stuff ever got out onto the open web.
Okay, no, but it's a good opportunity though to have a larger conversation, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In that, as much folks will go and say, "Oh, you can connect everything." Well, that's great. That's like saying, "Hey, our business is completely open." Well, great. Do you have any locks? Do you have any kind of things to authenticate? No. you might want to get on that, because the last thing you need is, God forbid, in the future, if someone was actually able to hack into my home my home network and everything, because the frickin' Samsung refrigerator didn't get its firmware updated. So
Your refrigerator is out to get you.
Well, in this, and we've learned that Bill has a Samsung refrigerator, which is just to make us sad.
Well, hey, it was on special. What do you want me to say?
That's almost as weird as the action hero stuff he's into.
Well,
yeah.
He doesn't have fuzzy dice behind him, though.
No, he doesn't.
No, I don't. Although Tim
Greg
does
does
have a sketch that I got him, though, behind him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're watching the video, you'll see handy dandy Wonder Woman right there. Yeah. It's very nice.
By the illustrious Phil Jimenez. But anyway.
All right, we're getting sidetracked here. Greg, talk about VLANs and security.
Yeah, we have VLANs. The problem with all of this is that it actually, the thing I was going to say, you asked, how do we push the envelope? I was going to say, we're in higher education. We don't push any envelopes around
Okay,
here.
well, yes, there's that.
We're fat, dumb,
we complain
dodgy,
that chalkboards are gone.
Who can say chalkboards is gone? When did that happen?
They still have chalkboards. You walk in. Here's the thing: you walk into Washington University here in St. Louis, you're going to see hundreds of them. Still,
we still have chalkboards, and got the deer in the headlights look when I mentioned to an integrator the other day that we still had a few slide projectors on campus.
Wow.
I've got one on a cart.
Yep. The problem with the technology is things don't always, things like AMX, yes, we're behind lots of walls and security and things like that, but security isn't always done the way security should be done. And yes, we have stuff on our own VLANs, but we managed right at the end of summer to put a bunch of, again, Crestron DMPS 300s online in a building, and the new 3300s will do SSH, secure shell, which I don't know a lot about, but apparently we left some stuff open that let the outside world discover that there were devices that ran secure shell, which apparently is like popularly like servers and things like that people can remote into. And we just got bombarded by attempts to get in, and until you do this, you don't appreciate how much attraction or how many nefarious people out there you will attract very quickly on the intertubes when you do something wrong. And we had these 3300s locking up about every 24 hours, and we'd go in and I'd download the error log, and I'd have a 400-page Word document of error messages in the 24 hours since I rebooted the box. And very quickly we're like, okay, something's open that shouldn't be, because we're getting, just thousands of hits from, I mean, you name it. It came from all over the world, all those terrible countries, and, Central America and South America and Florida and all sorts of crazy places.
Oh, good. My Fiverr request actually went through.
Yeah.
It was just amazing to look at, just all the traffic that came in just through this, this port and this feature being left open and accessible.
Let me point something out here, and I don't misunderstand. I'm not picking on you, Greg. Let me preface.
Why stop now?
But you said something there. You said apparently we left something open.
Yes.
Okay. How do we get educated about this then? I mean, because you said apparently.
By screwing stuff up like we do.
Yes.
That's the fastest way.
Good
fastest,
night.
easiest, and clearly the most dramatic.
Oh,
By
yes.
being caught with our pants down. That's the way it goes.
That is not the way, though. It's not the way it should be, at least, I guess.
We have all of our systems email our programmer error messages. As opposed to it just collecting in a file, it automatically shoots into the programmer, so he quickly knows what he did, and he knows now how to stop getting all these emails.
That's a good idea.
I will say this, Tim. Like, Crestron has done a good job with it. So has Mersive and a couple other companies. In that, when it comes to putting, your AV products on the network, Crestron and Mersive have both said, "Here, you want to know exactly which ports you need? Here's a list of the ports that we need open. The rest of them you can close down." And it tends to put network folks a lot at ease because they will see our stuff on the network and they go, "It's not a server. It's not an appliance. What is this thing?"
Yeah.
And they'll try to just lock it down. So if it is a bit of a, well, how do we learn? Well, you ask the manufacturers, what stuff do you use? There does have to be like a bit of training of TCP, UDP stuff, but at the same time, there has to be a bit of proactiveness on the manufacturers to say, this is the stuff we use. And here's port so and so. We don't need that. You can shut it down. We don't care.
Well, meanwhile, we have another building subnet where we the other week switched over to the Crestron recommended ports open, ports closed, and crashed everything.
Did you remember to turn off private network mode?
we're in the middle. I am in the middle of trying to figure out exactly what happened with that one because the wrong ports worked and the right ports didn't. So
rapid spanning tree. That'll cause some fun stuff right there.
Yeah, they're past that. It was closing ports that seemed to cause the problem. But I need to look at their. See, remember again, we're not IT. We work with an IT department to do this, and I need to do a little comparison of, okay, is this what we had before, and is this what we switched to, and figure out what we did and what we might have done wrong.
All right, Mr. Tomei. How do we do this? How do we keep, getting some of the latest, greatest stuff, but also keep ourselves secure?
Yeah, I think AV professionals are doing a good job now of learning network security pretty quickly, or trying to at least. There's some good classes out there, Infocom classes and others, to learn this stuff. But getting the campus network security people or IT people involved right in the beginning of a project is always key. And a lot of times when clients come to you or come to me with their little consumer devices that they want to throw on the network and integrate with the AV system, a lot of that gets shut down pretty quickly by the network security people right in the beginning of the conversation. So this article in Campus Technology talks about campuses putting a lot of these consumer devices on their network and kind of tying it in with the AV system and letting everything just be a free-for-all. I can't see a lot of network security people loving that idea. No, so I think that's going to probably be shut down pretty quickly.
No,
yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys. That's going to do it for us. Mr. Mike Tomei, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
How do people find you?
They can go to my website. It's tomeiav.com. That's TOMEIAV.com. Or I'm on LinkedIn. They can find me there.
All right, very good. Mr. Ernie Bailey, sir, from UAMS, thank you, sir.
I have very much enjoyed it. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, Ernie is one of our past Infocom Technology Manager Council chairs, and so is Mr. Greg Brown. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're quite welcome.
How do people find you?
LinkedIn again, popular place.
All right, very good. I mentioned the Technology Managers Council because Infocom late last year made an announcement that they're kind of re-upping, I guess, is the best way to put it, and focusing more on the councils this year. So all of you technology managers out there, get involved if you could, please.
Is there still a Technology Managers Council? I have not heard a thing from them for months.
I think that was part of the announcement, though, is that Infocom is, because they did. I think they lost. They didn't lose, but the person moved on to a different job. The Infocom liaison, and they're getting another one of those, and they're refocusing on the councils this year.
I think I had 4 during my 2 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I had
how
one
often
during
can
my 3 years, Greg.
Huh?
I had one during my 3 years.
Yeah,
it must be the person then.
I figured they were like a Time Lord. They had to regenerate every 6 months into a new person
No,
or
it was probably just you, Greg. Is what we're trying to say.
Well, but you can't blame the council on me. We got a new council chair before I left.
Okay.
So if the council has crashed and burned, it's not my
It's
fault.
not your fault this time.
It's whoever this new guy was that I mailed the scepter and the crown to.
All right. Good night. All right. Last but not least, Bill O'Donnell. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You can find me on Twitter, and not to toot my own horn, but I am, as I say, once again, I want to say thank you to Commercial Integrator for being one of the 103 AV tweeps. So
Yes, you were. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So yeah, go follow him if you're on Twitter.
Yeah.
And
I'm at the original OD. So
the original OD. Mike, is it Tomei AV? What is yours?
For Twitter?
Yes.
It's just Mike Tomei, but
Tomei.
I rarely end up tweeting.
And Greg's is AV Greg. So.
Yep.
That one, and Ernie doesn't know that Twitter exists. So.
No. During Infocom, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. So, my name is Tom Albright. Don't follow me on the Twitters because I just complain about the Bears. Although this is the 30th anniversary of them winning their last Super Bowl this week. So,
Well, it's a
was
good
in
thing you
1985.
follow an out-of-town hockey or football team, I guess there, isn't it, Tim?
Yes, it is, Mr. Brown, because you have the Rams back.
In home anymore.
Enjoy them.
Well, Greg took them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
Greg took
it's
'em.
gonna be pretty novel actually living in a major city with a football team now. I haven't done that now for 30 years.
Why? As I
25.
say, they weren't. As I say, they're moving back to the place they moved away from.
Yes.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's kind of why I'm a Bears fan. My dad grew up a Bears fan. I grew up a Bears fan, and we when we got the Rams, it was like, okay, cool, you know. And they won a Super Bowl. They did a good job, and had some good teams. But I've remained a Bears fan, and they're not going anywhere. So. All right. Yeah, but go by the website, if you would, please, AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv, you'll find this program and a host of others. Quick plug here, because this is we do a monthly thing. We're going to ISE in about a week and a half here, and lots of stuff going on. We're doing 8 shows there. We do AV Week will be done there. We're doing a daily wrap-up, about 15, 20 minutes. Every day. It will be here in the States. It'll air live at 11:45 a.m. We'll stream it live from the show floor of ISC. So check that out if you would, please. Starting up a brand new our brand new residential show, Resi Week. So we'll take a look at the residential side and the commercial side on a weekly basis. So, but check that all out. AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been EdTech.